Hello. And welcome back. Funny that. Move my mic into the right position and then I move out of the way. Ha. Turn the book on. I think next month I might actually buy. My chair's all squeaky. I might buy that thingamajig, majigama thing. You know what I'm talking about, the e-reader, the Onyx Note 2, because thinking about it, a 13-inch screen e-reader's great on paper, but actually I don't think I have any pockets big enough to put it in, so. So, just opening the book. Don't worry. I got my coffee. I got my chocolate bar. In no way do I endorse coffee or chocolate bars. Oh, please, phone. Please, book. Don't be so slow. Okay. Good. In 6.3.2. Oh, right. We're doing inline and constant expression functions. Yeah, so it's just telling us the benefits of functions. It's easier to understand what they do by looking at the function name, rather than looking at the function. I guess it would just be the function code block in line with your stuff. Functions ensure uniform behavior, so every time you call a function, it's called the same way, or it's called a way which is logical with respect to it being able to be overloaded, etc., etc., yada yada. What we did last week about having multiple function declarations for multiple inputs and trailing function input arguments. If you need to change the computation, it's easier to change the function than find and change every occurrence of the equivalent expression. Yes. So I think that's the biggest one, really, isn't it? Rather than like all those times where I go back and I change parent class properties in Unreal Engine and they don't fucking replicate in the child. They should do stuff like variables, parameters. They'll all change good. Just seems to be tags, and yeah, I don't know why. Really, it makes me angry. and the function can be reused rather than rewritten for other applications. There you go. Oh. There is, however, one potential drawback to making a function. Calling a function is apt to be slower than evaluating the equivalent expression. Most machines, a function call does a lot of work. Registers are saved before the call and stored after the return. Arguments may be copied and the program branches to a new location. Okay, so I was under the impression that functions could Oh, right, okay, so you can define a function as being inline, and a function defined as being inline and used is exactly what I thought functions were when I first started programming, where when your compiler goes to look at your program to compile it, it sees that you have a function, and instead of the name of the function and the variables that you're supplying it, it simply swaps out the name of the function and the variable, supplying it with the code which the function is made out of. Which is nice, which is good. Functions in and of themselves are generally like tiny little C programs that happen on their own, kind of. They're out of scope from your program as a whole. That's why we have to pass them arguments. That's why variables are very hard to get into functions. That's why I spent 3 weeks screaming at this PC screen. Well, that's cool. How do you write an inline? A function specified as inline usually is expanded inline at each call. Okay. And find how to short a string's inline function by putting the keyword inline before the function's return type. Oh, easy peasy. Wait, that's all you have to do? Damn, sir. The inline specification is only a request to the compiler. The compiler may choose to ignore this request. Wow. Jesus. Okay. In general, the inline mechanism is meant to optimize small straight-line functions that are called frequently. Many compilers will not inline a recursive function. A 75-line function will almost surely not be expanded inline. Okay, so there's limitations. Constant expression function is a function that can be used in a constant expression. Wow. Constant expression function is defined like any other function, but must meet certain criteria. The return type and the type of each parameter must be a literal type. The function body must contain exactly one return statement. Huh. Because it can only take literals, that means it can't take variables, right? And because it's a constant expression, those are evaluated at compilation time. We did this many weeks ago. Constant expression is the beans. Sorry, I had to check I was recording. Woo! Brain. Constant expression function body may contain other statements, as long as the statements generate no actions at runtime. For example, a constant expression function may contain null statements, type aliases, and using declarations. Good. Constant expression function is permitted to return a value that is not a constant. Oh. This is like levels of stuff. Like, it may just be me, but I don't really see the point in constant expressions. Someone's going to be like, well, they're fast. They don't change. And that's great. But you know how, like, everyone who made video games, analogy time, everyone who made video games way back in the day were like, BSPs that deal with visleaf culling are great because they're fast, but they are so inflexible. People are screaming for bigger, more vibrant games that, in fact, making a game using BSPs, even though it runs quickly, is not the optimum solution anymore. And therefore they went to things like distance culling, viz culling, etc., etc., using different methods to do improve performance that were more scalable and less rigid than binary space partitioning. Maybe a better example would be lights, because the RTX 3080 just came out. I'm sure. People seem to want the ability to do things more flexibly in real time, and that's a common goal. So I don't think constant expressions. Maybe I'll just look it up. You know what? We'll go to the website. Constant expression in C++. The keyword constant expression was introduced in C++ 11 and improved in C++ 14. It means constant expression, like const, can be applied to variables. Pilot error is raised when any code attempts to modify the value. Unlike constant expression can also be applied to functions and class constructors. cppreference.com. Yeah. Constant expression specifier declares that it is possible to evaluate the value of the function or variable at compile time. Such variables and functions can be used only when compile time constant expressions are allowed, provided the appropriate function arguments are given. Constant expression specifier using object declaration and non-static member function until C++ implies const. Constant expression specifier using a function or static member variable, since C++ 17, declaration implies inline. If any declaration of a function or function template has constant expression specifier, then the declaration must contain that specifier. Constant expression function must satisfy the following requirements: must not be virtual, must not be a coroutine. If it returns its return type, if any, must be a literal. Each of its parameters must be a literal. For constructor and destructor, since C++ 20, the class must have no virtual base classes. There exists at least one set of argument values such that an invocation of the function could be evaluated sub-expression of a core constant expression. For constructors, use in constant expressions is sufficient. In C++ 14, no diagnostic is required for a violation of this bullet. What? Its function body must not be a function try block. The function body must be either deleted or defaulted or contain only the following: null statements, static assert declarations, type-def declarations, and alias declarations that do not define classes or enumerations. Using declarations, using directives. If the function is not a constructor, exactly one return statement. A goto statement, a statement with a label other than case and default. A try block, an ASM declaration, a definition of a variable which no initialization is performed until C++ 20. Since C++ 14, definition of a variable of non-literal type, definition of a variable of a static or thread storage, duration. A function body that is equals default, semicolon, or equals delete, semicolon, contains none of these above. Constant expression constructor whose function body is not equals delete semicolon must satisfy the following additional request. Sorry, do you want this on screen? It's like it's free media, I believe. Check it out. Well, I guess it's .com. And you just get it into a position where it's completely legible. There we go. For the constructor of a class, struct, every base sub-object, and every non-variant, non-static data member must be initialized. If the class is a union-like class, and we can go down a rabbit hole here. We can go into the wormhole. We can, if we need to. For each of its non-empty anonymous union members, exactly one variant member must be initialized. For the constructor of non-empty union, exactly one non-static data member must be initialized. Okay, until C++20. Okay. Every constructor selected to initializing non-static data members and base class must be a constant expression constructor. I'll be completely honest with you. You know, if you could sum it up. Definition of a C++11 constant expression function which computes factorials and a literal type that extends string literals. Why would you need that? Constant expression in factorial in n. Return n is less than or equal to 1 question mark 1 colon n times factorial n minus 1. Oh god. C++11 constant expression functions use recursion rather than iteration. C++14 constant expression functions may use local variables and loops. Huh. Okay. Class const jar star p standard size t s z public template standard size t n constant expression const string const char and a n. Oh god. Okay. Okay. I'm sure I'll find a way to understand that one day. But it's so it takes literals. It gives the wall. Well, excuse me. So tasty. Is the main function of a constant expression maybe to set up type def stuff at the top of your program? Maybe. A constant expression function is not required to return a constant expression. I get the feeling it's like it's a compiler message, isn't it? It's like inline. Here we go. Unlike other functions, inline and constant expression functions may be defined multiple times in a program. After all, compiler needs the definition, not just the declaration, in order to expand the code. However, all the definitions of a given inline or a constant expression must match exactly. As a result, the inline and constant expression functions normally are defined in the headers. Let's be real, most functions are defined in header files. Whether that's a single header file for your program or a single header file per function, I don't care. You do you. You could have nested header files, couldn't you? You could have a header file that was linked in the C document, which simply contained all the header files that you'd need for your project. That would be a real cute, clean way of distributing that kind of thing, because the C would only have one header file present. I don't know. You tell me if that's a cool idea. I think it's a cool idea. Oh, here we go. Exercises 6.5.2. Exercise 6.43. Shown on the following declarations and definitions would you put in a header? In a source file, explain why inline bool, eq, const, begin and. Probably put that in a header. Because it's an inline. It needs the declaration and the definition to work correctly. Yada yada, etc., etc. Void put values in star int size. That looks like a program. Haha, that looks like a main loop. So I guess you put that in the in a source file. You could put it in a header file and then just link it. Either way is fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. Rewrite the isShorter function from 622 to be inline. Okay. So I'm so bad at this. No. Woo! That's why we don't use this keyboard every day. I'm only using it because it's easier to type on, because it's like right in front of me. Because I use the crusty mechanical gaming keyboard for gaming because it's at an angle. Really, I should just get like one of those palm keyboards. You know, like a half sizey boy. Or like one of those split ergo keyboards and just throw out the right hand side of it. Like put the right hand side somewhere else for macros or something. I don't know. C in. Okay. So hi. Inline string is shorter. String A, string B, Scooby-Doo, Saby-Doo. So that's the code you need on that side, and here's the code we need on this side. What's the passing something by reference? You have that up here somewhere, maybe? Do we have it in here? String and return in memory, string JSON 10 return. It just returns Okay, that's stupid. Template type name AO, type name BO, alter returning AO BO, declaration type A plus B return. No, I don't want those. I want the one which Snatcher. Here we go. Snatcher, Metal Gear Solid. They're my boys. Initialize the list. Int no. Greg no. Void Metal Gear Solid. Int and A. Int and B. Int revengeance A equals B. B equals revengeance. I want the other one. I don't want passed by reference. Const. Passed by a constant reference. Like this. I don't think that's right. Oh boy. Save and go over here, and that's still fine. Okay, so there's no errors yet. Return. What is it? Is it A dot size B dot size times by B dot size greater than A dot size. Correct? Incorrect. There is a red doobly-doo. I need a semicolon at the end of that. No suitable constructor exists to convert from int to standard basic string char standard char traits char standard allocated char. Whoopsie. Inline string is shorter. Why do we have ints? Oh. Ha ha. I think I'm just I'm just trying to be a little bit too smart for my own brain. Expected. Tell me line 110. Okay. Where did you expected where? There? There? C. Lol. Let's start again. Is that right? A dot size is greater than B dot size, question mark B colon A. It returns returns the string, or it returns a reference to the string. It should be fine. Save. Run. Error. Oh, no error. This string is long. This. Okay, so it's the function works, but the input does not work. Is this meant to be like a comma instead of a doobly-doo? There's no error, so let's see if that works. Okay, that does not work. Oh, we had this problem before, didn't we? Where did we do it? Get line, C in input. There it is. Get line. Where was that? It's in iterative statements, which gets collapsed into that for some reason. Collapse it, boys. Collapse. Collapse these boys. There's a collapse all button. Really helpful if someone in chat could tell me if there was a collapse all button or a hotkey. So we want get line. Oh, for God's sake. Get line. Cin. Outform. Get line. Cin. Sint. Bitdoor. See out. Get out. Go. Nice. It works. It's beautiful. Try it one more time. Just to be. I wish this would like pop up where I last left it, so it's like always in the right place. I keep not moving it, and I'm guessing like it keeps getting cut off, and that's not good for you. Dragon's Dogma was so good, I bought 4 copies. But Devil May Cry 3 was so hard, I ended up with 5. Gotta remember that Inline, that getLine function. GetLine cin, whatever. GetLine cin variable. In fact, do you know what? That's so important. I'm gonna put it here. No, I'm gonna put it here. Get. Well, I'm glad that works. Would it be possible to define is shorter as a constant expression? If so, do so. If not, explain why not. No, 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 no. Yes? No. Doesn't return a literal. But oh, we can collapse functions. Oh, hello. What am I doing? I'm clicking and dragging like I'm playing some kind of RTS. That's pretty nice. Ah, go away. I thought I closed all this. Get away. Get away. Green bean. No! No. It is not possible to define is shorter as a constant expression because it does not return a literal. Apparently that's the only reason you can't do that. I thought because it takes variables for inputs. Rewrite the is shorter function from... Oh, we did that. Aids for debugging. You know, I hate debugging, but it is a necessary evil, I guess. A part of the process. Assert is a preprocessor macro. Preprocessor macro is a preprocessor variable that acts somewhat like an inline function. The assert macro takes a single expression which it uses as a condition. Evaluates expression, and if the expression is false, and then assert writes a message and terminates the program. If the expression is true, non-zero, then assert does nothing. The assert macro is defined in the C assert header, as we've seen. Can you put, like, please, everyone who's developing anything for C unified header files, I'm guessing that's IBM. IBM have got a lot of stuff written about this. Maybe some Joe Blows at Microsoft. Maybe even Gabe Newell will return to the field. Who knows? I take that back. Gabe Newell was never a C++ programmer, was he? Can you please, when you've got a C or a CPP in your header file name, can you put an underscore after that, please? Because it's very hard to read. Okay, you know, even camel case would be. Because I'm just like, cassette? Yeah, okay. The fuck does that mean? It's all in low. It's just one word, mate. It's all in lowercase. Not CS. Anyway. Preprocessor variables, macro names must be unique within the program. Programs must include the CAssert header, must not define a variable, function, or other entity named assert. In practice, it's a good idea to avoid using the name assert for our own purposes, even if we don't include CAssert. Many headers include CAssert header, which means that even if you don't directly include that in your file, your programs are like to have it included anyway. The assert macro is often used to check for conditions that cannot happen. For example, a program that does some manipulation of input text might know that all words it is given are always longer than a threshold. That program might contain a statement such as assert word size empty greater than threshold. Behavior of assert depends on the status of a preprocessor variable named ndebug. If ndebug is defined, assert does nothing. By default, ndebug is not defined, so by default, assert performs a runtime check. We can turn off debugging by providing a sharp define to define ndebug, not debugging tag for your program. I'm only assuming, can only really in my wildest dream of dreams assume that's what it means. Most compilers provide a command line option that let us define preprocessor variables. $cc-d and debug main.c#use/d with a Microsoft compiler. Oh, that's right. I'm not using a console to compile all this garbage. Although I probably could, I probably should. I'm just using the Visual Studio built-in local Windows debugger. It does the same thing, but there's no command line. I just press F5 and it works. Look at that. It's beautiful. Effortless. Why aren't there GUI for why aren't there GUIs for compilers? That's a big high bar to entry for making computer programs for a long time, was that compilers were basically either this, which I'm sure there are settings for somewhere. I guess in some in some universe that would be considered a nice GUI for a compiler, but you know, you can't pick your compiler as far as it's very limited kind of. It's not It doesn't just give you the options in your face, right? You know, there's not just a panel of... So when I was looking for synthesizers back when I was a young man, and I went to the guitar shop to buy a keyboard, I had looked at a whole slew of modern, brand new, cutting edge, bleeding edge technology synthesizers of the time, and my two main contenders, because while I was looking at new synths, I also did not have a lot of money. My main contenders were the Waldorf Blofeld, which had has a 4-octave keyboard, has a lot of functionality, but it only has 4 knobs. Okay, so to change any parameter, you have to menu dive a whole bunch. And my other option was the Roland Gaia, which has only 3-octave keyboard. Shame. Octave less keyboard, and doesn't have any VSDs. It doesn't have the what am I talking about? VSDs? No, it doesn't have MIDI sound banks at all. It doesn't have wave table synthesis at all. It only has 3 oscillators. The Waldorf Blofeld has 4 oscillators, as I understand it. It doesn't do frequency modulation a lot, barely. I mean, frequency modulation is at its core basically just any synthesis that has an LFO. But we'll talk about that in a later stream when I have cleared all the garbage off the top of the keyboard. Anyway, I went for the Roland Gaia because all of the options are right there. You can pick an option, and then you can twist the knob, and it changes the option. Wow! It tells you what the option does on the front panel. It tells you the range of the option on the control, and the control is there. The only thing is, obviously, there are some controls, because there's a finite amount of space. Some controls are hidden behind a shift key, but it is just a shift key. But then again, when it's got a light beam thing on the front panel, so you can set actually exactly what that does. It's like a foot pedal control. It's like the foot pedal control for the Meris pedals. Where it blends between two presets that you define, and you define one preset on the Gaia, and then you turn the beam on, and you I can't remember what button you press. You press a button, and it saves that preset into both distances of the beam. And then you put your hand on the beam, right? You put your hand on the beam, and then you hold Shift, and then you basically got to have 3 arms to program the beam, which is why I wanted the software. And then no one was selling the software. They stopped making the software, but you can only get the software through Roland, and it's like a paid license thing, and it's tied to your email address. Bullshit. Roland, send me a copy of the Roland Gaia software, please. I will pay you, but for the love of God, don't not make the software anymore, man. Just have it as a download on your website, you know?
I just don't get a physical box, but you pay us like 30 quid and we'll send you a download link, mate.
Be fine. I'd be fine with that. But they don't. They're just like, we don't support this anymore. You can't use your Gaia with your PC anymore. Back to C++. What's going on? Good slam. I know it'd be rude of me just to skip over all the debugging stuff here, but I don't do a lot of debugging, live or not live, because I'm a scrub. Oh. How do you make a variable with spaces in it? Or is it just double underscore? Because the spaces. Are they spaces, or are they just space between characters? In the monospace font, they're spaces. Okay, they're definitely spaces. But in the regular text, it looks like they could just be 2 underscores next to each other. Help. Oh, they're just names. They're not variables for... Oh, they are variables? They aren't variables? They're used for cout. They're right. They're labels for cout, for console things, time, file, date. Yeah, for auto naming stuff. Doi. Doi. Okay, we're on to point 6.6. I've been doing this an hour, can you believe? I don't want to do any more, but I still have coffee to drink, so I can't really just be like, I'm going for a break now. Shit. I've stuffed myself. It's not even good coffee. I bought this. I don't know what it is. I think it's the way I brew it, or oh no, we got some exercises for 6.5. 6.5.3. Revise the program you wrote in exercise 6.3.2. Use recursion to print the contents of a vector to conditionally print information about its execution. For example, you might print the size of the vector on each call, compile and run the program without debugging turned on, and again with it turned off. Oh, we never rewrote that program because I thought that was a stupid program to have written anyway. I'm a bad student, and you can mark me down. I never was like this at university. I did all my work. And yet, explain what this loop does and whether it's a good use of assert. While string s, while cin s and s does not equal sort. What? I'm guessing sort's a variable we already have. Empty body. Assert cin. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything. Yeah. It doesn't do anything. What the fuck? While cin s and s does not equal sort, empty body, assert cin. So you could put assert cin in the body, and so when you don't type anything in, you can generate an error code from that. That would be fine. But having assert cin at the end is just gonna generate an error code anyway, because you're out of the loop. There is no cin going on. That's the be all and end all of the thing. That's a bad use of assert. That's my opinion. The first step of the function matching. Oh no, that's chapter 6.6. Let me just drink my coffee real quick. Do you want to play some Islanders? We can play some Islanders. We can save this. We're gonna do some channel art after that. We can waste a few minutes in Islanders, I think, while I finish off my coffee. So save. Can end this save. Oh. Oh. So, yeah, I'm going to end this segment here, so I'm going to stop recording. I'll continue being live. We'll go over to Islanders. We'll record some slams. So, thanks for coming to watch the live video. If you came and watched the live video, thanks for coming to watch the video on demand for this segment. If you came and watched the video on demand for this segment, and as always, I will see you in the next episode